ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right, what's happening, guys? It is Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. Happy to be here with you guys. And we're going to talk about a topic this morning that I think really will be one that is a good one for everybody to listen to, because it's about change and how change in our world, is sometimes misconstrued. I think that the expectations that a lot of people have for change and what it takes to create change in your life, I think that a lot of people get it wrong. I think that society almost makes it wrong for us. Like we're fed this line of stuff that's just not accurate as far as how change is supposed to happen in our life. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that this morning. I want to say good morning to some folks. What's happening? Dayton, Clayton. Mark, Tammy, Jared, what's happening, guys? Thank you for being on here this morning. Let's see who else has joined here. I think that's it for now. That's all I can see, at least. So we're going to talk about, why it's so important to take time, spend time working on yourself. Self-development has become a huge thing in my life. It has changed my life in a big way. I'm sure that a lot of you feel the same. You guys don't get up in the morning and watch this show because you don't want to be better at something. You don't want to grow. You don't want to find a better version of yourself. And so I want to talk about why it's important to genuinely have an interest in your own development and, really taking the time to recognize who you really are and then constantly be working towards a better version of yourself. I have been to a lot of conferences in my day, and I've heard a lot of great speakers. And one of the speakers that I admire the most is Ed Mylett. A lot of you guys know that I'm part of the Arete Syndicate coaching program that Ed Mylett and Andy Frisella have together. And, Ed says that, so I'm 40 years old now. So the 41-year-old version of myself, which is coming up here in just a month, I don't want to look anything like the 40-year-old version of myself. Like, I want to continuously be developing myself into a better version, into a better father, husband, son, brother, everything that I do. I want to be better for my team. I want to be a better businessman. I want to be a better thought leader in the things that I care about. But that happens, guys, from really looking inside of yourself and starting there, because I think the challenge that a lot of people face is that they think something is going to come to them that's going to create this change in their life. And that's the sad part of it, guys, is that there is no train coming down the tracks that's going to deliver you something different in your life. It happens with you. And you guys hear me talk a lot about, getting quiet time in your life. That quiet time is simply to leave you alone with your North Compass. We talked about this yesterday, about the answers are usually right in front of you. The change that you need to get to the next level, to get to the next version of yourself, that is also inside of you. It's just a matter of, do you take the time to work on it? Do you take the time to kind of, shed that old skin and step into a better version of what you're capable of becoming? And I think that happens from having some calm in your life, from having, those moments for 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes 3 times a week, whatever it is that you can squeeze in. When you get to that point of being able to get that quiet time, to get kind of inside yourself and just think, you will realize that change is a lot easier than it has been in your life. A lot of people are trying to take too much control. Like, they think that they're somehow in control. And I'm not saying that you don't have to take actions. That's part of the game too. But at the same time, you have to have that time to be able to think within yourself and really, really listen to that guiding light that's inside of you. And so the other thing that I will tell you about this is that working on yourself will also help others around you grow. And I know that, everybody cares about, the people around them, their family, the people that they work with. Everybody wants to help others grow around them. But a lot of people don't realize that, it starts with you. There's a quote about leadership, and I might not get it perfect, but it says, before you can set fire to others, you first have to set fire to yourself. And that means, a lot of things. It means taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and really doing a lot of self-development so that you can then pour into other people and help them. Because if you are not in good shape, physically, mentally, spiritually, it will be very challenging for you to have an impact on other people. It is very taxing to be pouring into other people. So that change being an inside job, you first have to build yourself up before you can pour into others. And so that is something that I think a lot of, people overlook, but especially I see it in leadership a lot, is that, it gets exhausting to be a leader for that reason, because, you're doing so much for others that a lot of leaders don't take the time to kind of work on themselves and get themselves a lot of strength in those categories so that they have the ability to pour into other people. So I want to run through just some of the things that I think, start with being an inside job, whether it's healing something that has happened to you in your life, taking responsibility, and this is a big one, taking full responsibility for the things that happen in your life. Like not blaming anybody, no matter what happens. And I don't care whether you think somebody did this to me or did that, taking full responsibility for everything in your life that happens to you, because there is always a way for you to have some level of influence or control. Success. So understanding that to be successful, it starts with you. It starts working from the inside out. What is going on in your mind, in your spirit, and how do you create success? You create success from the inside out. How do you become a better mother or father, husband or wife? It starts with all the stuff that's on the inside. If you have chaos going on the inside of your mind or on the inside of your soul, it will be very difficult for you to grow as a father, as a husband, as a wife or a mother. And I think that everybody recognizes that you go through seasons with this, right? You go through periods of time where it's easier or more difficult at different times in your life to be able to grow in those areas, grow in being a better father, grow in being a better husband, because there's so much other stuff going on the outside, right? There's things coming in at you. And the only way that you can just cut through those things very easily is to start from the inside out, to really work on yourself, to spend time listening to audiobooks, podcasts, self-development people, influencers that have great guidance. Right now they say, this is by far the most information we've ever had, right? And they say this is the information age. It is all at your fingertips. So all you have to do is find the way to consume that and put it into your daily routine, and you will start to evolve as a person. I will leave a footnote there, though, that don't become obsessed over self-development to the point that all you're doing is self-development. You're not actually implementing any of the things that you're doing. You just become obsessed with the content of it, right? So that is an important piece of that. If you want to work on having a stronger faith, being in better shape, or being healthier, it is 100% important for you to understand that starts from the inside out. I read a quote while I was doing some research on this topic, and it said this: if you look down at your watch and your watch read the wrong time, would you ask everyone else to set their watch according to yours, or would you fix the time on your own watch? Very simple, but very profound quote, right? Because I think so often we don't take the time to really evaluate whether our time is right or not. We just assume that it is. We don't take responsibility when our time on our watch is incorrect. And we are sometimes navigating other people to set their watch to the wrong time to make us feel better. And that, my friends, will not lead to fulfillment in your life. That is a slippery slope that a lot of people function under. You know, they don't want to take responsibility for their own stuff. And so they end up in a spot where they're telling other people the incorrect things just to make themselves feel like they're in a little bit better position. And that's a dangerous thing for yourself and for the people around you. The other piece of advice that I would give those who are, there's a lot of entrepreneurs on here, is make sure you're checking yourself and checking around you to have people that are willing to tell you the truth, that are willing to give you the feedback that you need, not because that's what you want to hear, but because they care about you and they care about the situation that they're in. They care about the company, because there's a lot of people that surround themselves with people that, just yes them to death. They just, kind of want people around them that don't necessarily always tell them the truth. And that leads to bad things and bad situations. So, when you get your mind and your intentions clear, you will be on your way to living a much happier and much more peaceful life, and one that you will look back and be super proud of. It is important for you to recognize the difference between developing things that are kind of on the outside and developing those things that are on the inside, because it's from the inside out is how we grow. Trees grow from the root structure up, right? And it's basically from the inside out. It's the same deal. It's a seed that turns into a tree. Same idea. And it is relevant to life more than we recognize. We either consciously or subconsciously, we participate in our successes and our own demise. But it all starts with your thoughts. Ed Milet says thoughts become things. Thoughts become things. Those thoughts that you have in your mind that sometimes you ignore, sometimes you put off, sometimes you just straight up don't listen to, those thoughts will become things in your life. And so if you allow yourself to go down, a negative path, and you allow yourself to be around negative people, you will end up in a more negative place. It's just how it works. It's just how the universe works. So I want to say good morning to some more folks. What's happening? Carla, Bob, Ryan, Dylan, Jeff Nelson. What's happening, man? Judd Burden, my brother. What's happening, bro? Thanks for jumping on here this morning, guys. I appreciate y'all being here. But this topic is an important one for me, because there were times in my life where I think that I was way more focused on the outside stuff. I was way more focused on, trying to control situations every day, instead of realizing that, things were going to happen that were going to push me in different directions, that were going to steer my ship in a way that I didn't necessarily want to go. And I thought that, there was something that I could do to force things in a certain direction. And it wasn't until probably 5 or 6 years ago that I realized that, the work that you have to do on yourself, and the work that is most rewarding for us in our lives, is when we are able to focus on ourselves, work from the inside out, and be able to weather that storm. It's not about being able to jerk the boat back to where you want it to go. It's about being able to ride out the storm in whatever direction that it goes. But that starts with quiet time every day, having time to get your thoughts together, to kind of what I call clear the cache. You got to clear the cache in your browser. You got to clear the cache in your computer. You have to do the same for yourself. It is important for us to take that downtime. And I don't care if it's a bad day, then maybe you take 10 minutes. 10 minutes is better than zero. But making sure that you take the time to, number one, be grateful. And number two, just kind of get your thoughts clear. Just figure out what you want to do. Spend some time with yourself. If you're spiritual, spend some time with the man upstairs, and just take some quiet time. It will do powerful, powerful things in your life. I promise you. So I hope that this conversation was helpful this morning. You know, the title of the show is Morning Perspective. I hope it gave you some perspective. And I appreciate you guys being here. If you found this message helpful, you know, I always say, man, there's no fee for the show. But if you found this message to be helpful, just share it with one person today. Just send it to somebody. You can DM it to them. You can copy the link. It'll be on YouTube here in about an hour. You know, it is, and Bob, I will keep talking about it, brother, until I'm blue in the face. No doubt about it. Quiet time is what makes the world go round, man. And we don't get enough of it. That's for sure. We don't get enough of it. And I appreciate you guys chiming in here and giving some feedback. That is appreciated. But man, just share it to your page, share it with a person. You can go on Apple Podcasts, all the podcast platforms. It is the Perspective Podcast. So if you type in the Perspective Podcast, Brian Hess, you'll be able to find it over there. What's happening, Luke? Good morning, Scott Crawford. How you doing, brother? But you'll be able to find it on all podcast platforms, and you can share it from there. But you know, we're trying to grow the audience of this show. It's working. The views are up. The downloads are up. Everything is headed in the right direction. We are approaching episode 150 here. So we've been at this for a while, and a lot of you guys have been here for a long time watching every single morning. And man, I'm just grateful to be able to share the morning with you guys. It helps me a ton just to put this content together and share it with you guys. And, you know, it gets my own mind working in the right direction. You know, a lot of that, I was talking to Clayton yesterday, and I said, man, a lot of the content that I deliver, it's like, you know, I'm coaching myself in certain scenarios through some of the things that I'm facing. And so I'm just sharing that journey with you guys in this format. So I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate everybody that shares this out and shares it with their friends and tells people to come and watch, man. We've got, it still blows my mind that we have an audience that literally, we got people from all over the world that watch. There's people over in Europe that watch the replay quite frequently because the time is so different. But every time zone in the country has somebody on here almost every single morning. So I'm grateful that you guys are spreading the word about this. And by all means, if you guys have suggestions for content, or you have suggestions, maybe there's a guest that you think would be phenomenal to get on here and kind of interview and talk about things, shoot them my way. Send me a DM, shoot me a message. If you guys have my phone number, shoot me a text or an email, and we'll get them on here. You know, I do this show for you guys. I do it, you know, for myself as well, but, you know, I do it to help people, you know, and that is my number one goal, is to provide content that helps people, that gets them started on their day on a better path than, you know, turning on the TV and watching the junk that comes out of that thing. So again, I appreciate you guys being here. I will see you again tomorrow morning, same place, same time, right here on Morning Perspective. Love you guys.